Hey, welcome to the Boundaried Boss Babes podcast. I'm Erin Anderson, your host, and I am so excited that you are here joining me today for another episode. If you're a female entrepreneur just like me, you understand that everything you build, everything that you have comes from relationships. And because of that, you also understand that relationships require really great boundaries. Hence the reason why we have this podcast, so that way you can take your business and your life to the next level. So sit back, relax, and get ready for another episode of the Boundaried Boss Babes podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Boundaried Boss Babes. Guys, I'm so excited about this podcast and like the yumminess and the goodness that we get to start sharing here in this space. Oh, I'm I'm just really excited for what's coming, and also just like how amazed I am because I started the Other Side of the Struggle podcast back in October 2021. And here it is, almost exactly 3 years later of almost posting every week in The Other Side of the Struggle and moving now into the Boundaried Boss Babes. And it just feels so good to be with you guys and to help you guys shift and grow and be like the very best, boss babes that you can be. Um, but today I want to talk about a a very interesting topic, something that I've seen a lot in the boss babe community, which is affirmations, right? And I've said for the longest time that I don't like all affirmations. I believe that there's that little voice in the back of your head, like whispering how it's not true. But as I got thinking about a few things in the last, like especially in shifting from the other side of the struggle to, uh, the Boundary Boss Babes, I've started realizing a few really key ingredients about affirmations, and they don't work when they don't become a boundary. Okay, so now you might be like, huh? What? Like, how does that work, right? But here's the deal. I've been thinking about like my own affirmations, right? And again, like I don't believe in affirmations, but I say things to myself such as, I'm a respectful person. Well, you could say that that's an affirmation, or you could say that that's just a core belief, right? In my case, it's definitely a core belief. I love being respectful to other people, and respectful of their agency and respectful of their decisions, and like not feeling like I have to take control over every little thing in other people's lives. I really do like that. But that being said, too, like I also feel like there are certain aspects of the things we tell ourselves that are still more on this is an affirmation, right? That we're trying to convince ourselves to believe this. So what do we do if it's an affirmation? Like if it's something that we want to believe, we can say that. So like an example of this would be like uh one of my affirmations is I am a very healthy person. Now, do I believe I'm healthy mentally? Yep. Do I believe I'm healthy emotionally? Yep. Do I believe I'm healthy spiritually? Yep. But my physical health is not as high as those other areas just yet. And I want to be high, I should say mentally healthy. Okay, let's not get weird about stuff. I know if you're listening to this and you're like me, there's probably a fair bit of sarcasm in you. And so if I'm sitting here talking about getting high, this is probably going to get taken off of whatever platform we're on. So we're not going there, but I do want to say that, I want to be the very best I can be in all of those areas. I want to feel confident. I want to feel good in all of those areas. And my physical health has been a challenge for a while. So I could even say that, I am 135 pounds. Well, right now, physically, that's not true, right? I'm way over 135 pounds. But in this scenario, that is an affirmation. But it becomes a knowledge, an actual truth when we set boundaries around that affirmation. And we'll get into the 7 different types of boundaries in one of the next coming episodes, right? Because I do feel like those are very important for you guys to learn. And then we'll dive into each one of the different types of boundaries as time goes on. So those are the upcoming episodes. So stay tuned for that. But for me, a healthy body is actually going to be a physical boundary, right? Because, like I said, my physical self has not like caught up to my mental, emotional, and spiritual self yet. So, one of the things that I need to do, therefore, is I need to say, well, if this is my goal, 135 pounds, then what are the actions that need to take me there? Now, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, most of you guys know about the 5-step thought process where you've got circumstance, thoughts, feelings, actions, and results, those 5 pieces. If you want more information about that, I'm actually going to refer you to my other podcast, which is The Other Side of the Struggle. And there is actually a podcast episode about the 5-step thought process. I would definitely suggest you go and listen to that to get a little bit more clarity. And again, if you guys have questions, please feel free to put them in the text messages of this podcast. There is a button somewhere in the description that if you want to text the show, click on that, text the show, and I actually personally receive those. So feel free, please, to go ahead and do that if you've got personal questions around this particular topic. But basically, what I want to do is I want to say, well, this is the result I want. Well, then I have a set of bounds that I need to act in, right? And that might look like, okay, well, if I want to be 135 pounds, that means that I need to make sure that I'm getting good exercise, great sleep, and great nutrition. Like these are the 3 key ingredients to having a healthy body, right? Nutrition, sleep, and exercise. And it's been scientifically shown that people who have those 3 actually have a lower stress level being pressed upon them. So that means that I'm going to have to also take my time boundary and start putting in those like abilities for me to take care of those things into my schedule. That means a whole new, like envisioning a whole new person, believe it or not. Because the thing is me at 135 pounds operates differently than the me at 210. I'm telling you guys my weight because I'm absolutely not ashamed of it, right? My body is a beautiful, beautiful instrument. I'm so grateful for it. It is an absolute gift from God. It's literally like like he gave me a best friend because it consistently has my best interest in mind. Part of the reason why it's holding on to so much weight is because it's actually trying to protect me. My job is simply to give it the space to feel safe to release, right? And for me to show up for it in the very best possible way I can. So I'm going to make sure that I get adequate sleep, adequate nutrition, and adequate exercise for my body so I can show up for it the way that it shows up for me. That's my mindset around this. Okay. Now, sometimes that takes time to implement these habits. A good mentor of mine, she talks a lot about like the 5% more theory, where, if you implement just 5% more, 5% more, 5% more, 5% more, eventually that 5% does equal that 100, right? It's kind of like, if you think about people running a race, oftentimes in races, they tell you not to run your hardest all at the very beginning, unless if you've got way more stamina than anyone else. They tell you to start out slow and then hit it with all you've got towards the end, right? And it's kind of that theory when we're talking about taking an affirmation to a truth, an actual result. You might need to start with that 5% more, that habit hook, right? Creating some type of a habit for yourself so that way you can again turn around and make another habit for yourself, because habits are based out of consistency, right? Good and bad habits. If we have more good habits than we do bad habits, we tend to have more good results, more good prospects for what it is that we're trying to create. And our success rates, and the probability of success is actually easily like 78% higher when we are implementing the right habits. And the reason why is because certain actions just lead to certain results. That's all it is, right? We know this. But we don't take those actions if we are not feeling what it would feel like to have that result. If we're like people are emotional beings, we sometimes take action upon our logic, but we always take action upon how we feel. Even people who say that, uh, they're a logical person, or this person does not understand emotion, right? And I'm talking in some sort of like Jimmy Stewart voice. I don't know why. But like the truth of the matter is that's not true. People always act off of emotion, not off of their thoughts. Their thoughts create the emotion, and the emotion creates the action. So if somebody is like hiding from their emotions, um, oftentimes they act in a neglectful or depressed manner. That leads to, like I said, some type of a result. So back to the affirmation, basically what an affirmation is you simply saying what it is you truly want in your life. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's true in that moment, right? So you can affirm to yourself, I'm a six-figure business owner. My relationships show up to support me. I'm a seven-figure business owner. I have incredible relationships. I am 135 pounds. I balance my time wisely. I am incredibly respectful and respected. You might even affirm that you are an author or a journalist or a speaker or whatever it is. You can affirm these things to yourself, but it doesn't become a truth until you start setting boundaries around that. So what is it that you guys actually want in your businesses? If we start focusing on the want, we can start creating the actions because we act upon the emotion and what it is we want, right? If you're dealing with difficult people in your business, too, that is also going to create a certain result in you. Or even if you're dealing with difficult people in your personal life, that's going to create even probably more of an impact on your business than your business relationships do, believe it or not. because we need to feel, especially women, need to feel very relaxed and safe and loved and cherished in order for us to create our truest potentials and to really, really, again, relax into those. And I use that word intentionally, by the way. So, what do we do? How do we create that boundary? Well, again, it is going to take you understanding boundaries and the 7 different types of boundaries, right? But it is also going to say, well, the person that has achieved this result, right? How do they think, feel, and like how do they believe, how do they feel, and what do they act? How do they act? Like we're looking at those other areas that would create that result. So, say for example, you want to create $10,000 next month, right? Well, the person that can create $10,000 in 1 month, the version of you that's creating that $10,000 that month, and we're talking about the relationship you have with yourself right now, by the way, guys. Um, another thing I probably need to talk about is the relational tiers, or you can also head over to the Other Side of the Struggle podcast and click on the podcast that talks about the relational tiers. It is over there as well. But we're talking about the relationship you have with yourself here when you are creating this type of a change. Okay? And that means that that person, this next version of you, this 2.0, 3.0, maybe 6.0 you, is someone who operates differently. God said that the way to heaven is a straight and narrow path, right? Well, that means that that path has boundaries. And those boundaries might start out here. And I know you guys are listening, but like imagine like your arms being way out, okay? So they might start way wide. But as you clarify and you get more concise about who you are and the person you want to be and how that person operates, what ends up happening actually to your boundaries is they start to narrow. And the reason why is it doesn't become constricting or confining. It means it's more within your vision. Okay? So I hear people all the time like saying, like especially with religion, oh, following God, that's too hard or that's restricting or no, it's actually not. It just means that it's within my vision. That's the difference. And so when he's talking about, you know, the straight and narrow, like being straight and narrow, it means it's consistently within your vision. Okay? And that's what needs to happen when we're taking, like I said, that affirmation and putting it into the result. And we ask ourselves the question of A, how does that person believe? B, how does that person behave? And C, how does that person feel? How does that person who creates that $10,000 feel next month? What are their beliefs? What are their actions? Right? And then once we start getting clear and we start seeing that version, we can start putting together a plan of action. So for me, doing a juice fast is actually probably going to be very good for me because I need to pack my body full of nutrition. For somebody wanting to create $10,000 a month, getting more exposure. How? By doing more Facebook Lives, maybe getting out and networking, meeting people, meeting their ideal client, offering free calls. Like there's so many different ways we can or some sort of freebie. Maybe you own some sort of a, physical business, right? There's free samples. There's a I know that a lot of people will throw open their doors and have like some sort of a bash. I'm thinking about a hardware store actually down by me. They do a ladies' night out every single fall, where they do games and giveaways at the hardware store, a craft night, like things like that to draw in their customers, right? Some sort of freebie, and they give away freebies and things like that to get to know their customers so they can create a certain result that they want. Again, everything is tied to our relationships, right? So, affirmations, they are legitimately something that you have to put within boundaries in order for that affirmation to no longer be an affirmation, but an absolute truth. So, curious, what are your affirmations? What do you want to create in your business and in your life? Why do you want to create those things? And then what is the version of you that needs to come to fruition in order to call those things into action? All right, my loves. I hope this was super helpful for you guys this week. Again, make sure you're bringing those texts and those questions into the show. That's always going to help with the content. That's always going to give me a great direction to go. And again, if you guys want to schedule a clarity call with me or even a coaching call, a free 1-hour coaching call, those links are also in the description below. And I will also be starting a brand new boundaries program. It's going to be probably a 6 to 8 week course. If you guys are interested in that, schedule a clarity call with me and I can go over what we'll be talking about in those episodes or in that particular course. It's going to be super low cost. And one last thing too, September 19th, mark your calendars, 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I will be doing a webinar on boundaries as well. So come hang out with me. I will be posting the links of all of these things. The boundaries webinar, the boundaries webinar should be coming soon, and the links, it might be in this podcast episode, so be looking for that. If it is not, I will be posting it soon. So come attend the webinar, book that clarity call with me, book that free call with me. Let's chat. Let me see how I can help you create more in your life, in your business, and more fulfillment in your money story and in your relationships. All right, my loves. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye. All right, Boundary Boss Babes. I'm super excited that you tuned in with me today. Make sure you tune in again next week as we chat about more Boundary Boss Babe topics. We're going to get into so many other things about how to set boundaries with your business, how to set boundaries with your relationships, so you can truly have the time, the money, and the flexibility that you are seeking. So tune in next week. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast. Let your other Boss Babe friends know about it. And also, if you've got any questions, make sure you submit them into the podcast by clicking on the send us a text message at the bottom of the podcast description. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. See you later, Boss Babes.